Approximately 50 million years ago, a monumental event reshaped the very fabric of our planet when the Indian subcontinent collided forcefully with the vast expanse of Eurasia. This collision was not merely a collision of landmasses. It was a cataclysmic act that forged new mountain ranges and altered global geological patterns in profound ways. The immense pressure and relentless forces of that ancient impact pushed upward, giving birth to the towering Himalayas, the highest and most extensive highlands on Earth. These rugged, majestic mountains rose from the collision zone, creating a formidable barrier that would influence climate, weather, and ecosystems for millions of years to come. From the aftermath of this collision, a uniquely elevated and isolated world emerged. The mountain ranges formed a thin, high-altitude belt that became a world apart, an environment characterized by its stark beauty, extreme conditions, and spiritual quietude. Within this lofty realm, valleys remained secluded, often surrounded by jagged peaks that pierced the sky, while pristine lakes nestled quietly among rocky outcrops. This landscape, seemingly untouched by the passage of time, fostered a distinct way of life, where spiritual traditions flourished in near-complete separation from the outside world. The inhabitants developed their own languages, customs, and architectural styles, especially evident in the monasteries that dot the landscape, standing as silent guardians of ancient faiths and philosophies. In the eastern reaches of Tibet lies the region of Chamdo, a land where three of Asia's great rivers, namely the Mekong, the Salween, sometimes referred to as the Selwyn, and the Yangtze, flow side by side through the rugged mountain terrain. These mighty waterways have carved deep gorges and jagged peaks, sculpting a landscape of striking contrasts, both remote and dramatic. This area embodies a peaceful yet historically significant Tibetan heartland, where tradition remains alive and vibrant. The local language, cultural practices, and architectural style of monasteries here reflect a rich heritage that has persisted for centuries, largely untouched by external influences. Historically, Chamdo played a pivotal role as the starting point of the famed Tea Horse Road, an ancient trade route that once served as a vital artery for commerce and cultural exchange. Caravans laden with pu'er tea, an aromatic and revered beverage, traversed this rugged path from the lush valleys of Yunnan province, crossing formidable mountain passes to reach Lhasa, the spiritual and political capital of Tibet. This route was much more than a mere conduit for goods. It was a lifeline for ideas, beliefs, and traditions that helped shape Tibetan civilization. Through its winding passages, not only commodities but also cultural influences, spiritual teachings, and artistic expressions flowed, weaving a complex tapestry of interconnectedness and mutual influence. Fast forward to the present day, and the landscape remains a vital corridor of connectivity, though the mode of travel has evolved dramatically. Today, a different route, National Highway 318, traverses this same rugged terrain, becoming one of China's most extensive and emblematic highways. Stretching over 5,000 kilometers, it links the bustling metropolis of Shanghai in the east with the remote borderlands near Nepal in the west. Yet, it is the Tibetan section of this highway, winding through tranquil high-altitude valleys toward Lhasa, that has garnered a legendary reputation. Often dubbed the Road to Heaven, this route crosses more than a dozen lofty mountain passes, each with its own breathtaking vistas and spiritual significance. Travelers along this route often find themselves crossing snow-capped peaks, glaciers feeding rushing rivers, and stretches of road fluttered with prayer flags, colorful symbols of faith and hope. For many, walking the entire Tibetan section of this highway becomes a pilgrimage, an act of devotion that transforms the journey into a spiritual experience in its own right. Each step, each prayer, each breath taken in these sacred lands becomes an act of reverence, blending physical endurance with spiritual intent. As the highway delves deeper into Tibet's serene landscape, devotion manifests in various forms. Along the banks of the Langkong River in the town of Markham, an extraordinary scene unfolds. Here, hundreds of salt pans are carved meticulously into the red-hued cliffs, forming an intricate tapestry of geometric layers that resemble a complex mosaic. These ancient salt fields are believed to be over 1,300 years old, and remarkably, they continue to be worked by hand, an enduring testament to tradition and craftsmanship. Each salt pan is managed by a local family, handed down through generations, not as a piece of property but as a sacred inheritance, a spiritual and cultural legacy. The salt harvested from these pans does not come from the river itself but is obtained from a nearby sacred hot spring. Before each harvesting season begins, families gather in ritualistic ceremonies, offering prayers and performing sacred rites. This ritualistic preparation underscores the deep spiritual connection that permeates every aspect of their work. The act of collecting salt is thus not merely a physical labor but a spiritual duty, intertwined with the land, ancestors, and beliefs that define their existence. In one of the most perilous sections of the entire highway, this route has long been regarded as a formidable challenge for travelers. Historically, it served as a vital corridor for tea caravans and military convoys, a route fraught with danger yet vital for connection and commerce. Today, it stands as a testament to courage, a stretch of road that tests even the most seasoned adventurers. Many who traverse it do so not merely out of necessity, but as an act of spiritual purification, a symbolic journey to cleanse their karma. Along the roadside, countless stones and flat rocks bear intricate carvings of Buddhist prayers and mantras, serving as silent sentinels. These sacred stones are carefully placed, lining the path as quiet guardians, blessing every traveler's passage and offering divine protection to those who venture onward. Yet, not all of what is considered sacred terrain is confined to the highway itself. Some of the most spiritually significant landscapes lie beyond the well-trodden paths, nestled deep within the wilderness, requiring a deliberate step away from the main road into a realm of profound stillness and reflection. Among these secluded places is the humble village of Dinking, a small, wind-swept settlement that feels like the very edge of inhabited existence. Here, the landscape begins to surrender to nature's dominion, where the road seems to dissolve into the earth, and the land itself takes over in silent grandeur. The air is dry and heavy, imbued with a sense of timelessness, and movement here is slow and deliberate. Smoke rises lazily from a few rooftops, curling upward into the stillness, while prayer flags flutter gently in the breeze, their vibrant colors contrasting with the muted tones of the surrounding terrain. Just beyond the quiet village, the landscape undergoes a dramatic transformation. Towering above the plains are the Dink Sing Red Mountains, an imposing range that rises abruptly and without warning. Their jagged peaks, stained a rusty hue by iron-rich soils, seem to pierce the sky, sculpted by relentless winds over countless centuries. The local people regard these mountains with reverence and awe. To them, the ridges are more than mere geological formations, they are sacred guardians. Some believe that divine spirits dwell within the rocky crests and shadowed cliffs, watching over the land and its inhabitants. Others see ancient faces of deities etched into the cliffs themselves, their features carved by time and wind, guardians of the sacred landscape. Few outsiders have truly touched this terrain, for the paths that weave through these mountains are faint and rarely trodden, traced only by wandering herders and silent pilgrims who pass through in reverent quietude. Within this realm of silence and sacredness, our journey takes us toward a destination few ever reach, an extraordinary monastic retreat perched high above the red cliffs. The Zizu Monastery appears almost impossible to believe, seemingly hanging in defiance of nature's laws. Built directly into the mountainside, it clings precariously to the rugged rock face, with no clear, accessible path leading to its entrance. Despite its formidable appearance, it is recognized as the highest monastery in the world, perched nearly 5,000 meters above sea level. Like many monasteries nestled along cliff faces in Tibet, its remote location serves a profound purpose, fostering deep meditation and retreat from worldly distractions. The surrounding peaks are dotted with hermitages, small, isolated dwellings where monks and nuns live in seclusion, often for months or even decades at a time. These hermitages are sanctuaries of silence and contemplation, embodying the spiritual ideals of solitude and introspection that have made this region a revered center for solitary practice. Reaching the Zizu Monastery is no easy feat. During the harsh winter months, the treacherous mountain routes often vanish beneath thick snow and ice, rendering the journey nearly impossible. Yet, for those few who manage to arrive, the experience is transformative. The setting itself strips away all distractions. There are no sources of electricity, no hustle and bustle of traffic, no city noise, only the whisper of wind and the gentle flutter of prayer flags. The world here seems suspended between earth and sky, a realm untouched by modern chaos, where time slows and the mind can settle into profound stillness. As our journey continues, the landscape begins to shift dramatically, revealing a region that feels like an entirely different world. We descend into Ningchi, a place often called the Switzerland of Tibet, renowned for its breathtaking alpine scenery and unexpectedly lush environment. Sitting at a lower elevation than much of the plateau, Ningchi offers a softer, more inviting face of Tibet. Its climate is mild, its vegetation abundant, and the scenery vibrant, an ecological tapestry that contrasts sharply with the arid highlands above. Here, the landscape is alive with greenery, and the air is filled with a sense of freshness and vitality rarely seen elsewhere on the plateau. Ningchi is unique in that it hosts subtropical forests beneath towering alpine ridges, creating a rare ecological fusion found nowhere else on the Tibetan plateau. This extraordinary landscape has earned a reputation as the last great uncharted gorge on Earth, a wilderness so vast and mysterious that it continues to beckon explorers and adventurers alike. Its depths plunge beneath the surface of the Earth to over 5,300 meters, making it deeper than the renowned Grand Canyon, which many consider a marvel of natural grandeur. This profound chasm is not merely a geological feature but a living testament to the planet's ancient forces, carved over countless ages by relentless rivers and shifting earth, creating a labyrinthine corridor of awe-inspiring beauty and raw power. The region's unique environment is sustained and shaped by the monsoon rains that sweep in from the Indian Ocean, bringing seasonal downpours that nourish and transform the landscape. These rains foster a rare and delicate confluence of ecosystems, where alpine peaks, cloaked in a lush subtropical forest, stand side by side with ridges where hardy vegetation clings tenaciously to rocky outcrops. Landslides, a constant reminder of the region's dynamic geology, continually reshape the slopes, adding to the ever-changing tapestry of this rugged terrain. At the very core of this colossal canyon, a mighty river courses through, its waters carving a dramatic 180° turn around a colossal sentinel known as Namcha Barwa. Rising sharply to an astonishing height of 7,782 meters, Namcha Barwa is the easternmost Himalayan peak that exceeds 7,000 meters in elevation. Its towering presence dominates the landscape, yet it remains one of the least climbed and most elusive of the Himalayan giants. Often shrouded in a swirling curtain of clouds, this mountain is known locally as the Shy Mountain, a name that conjures images of mystery and majesty wrapped in perpetual veils of mist. In Tibetan tradition, Namcha Barwa is not merely a mountain but a sacred entity, revered as a male deity, a spear that pierces the very sky. It is believed to stand sentinel at the threshold of Pamiko, a legendary hidden land of spiritual awakening and enlightenment. According to local lore, only those with pure karma, unburdened by negative deeds and filled with genuine spiritual intent, are granted the rare blessing of a clear glimpse of its summit. For those fortunate enough to see it, the mountain becomes a divine vision, a living symbol of spiritual purity and cosmic guardianship. One of the most breathtaking vantage points from which to witness this spectral giant is Sagila Pass. This winding mountain road ascends above the forested valley floor, climbing into the realm where clouds and mountain peaks meet. During the few times when the sky clears, a rarity in this perpetually misted landscape, viewers are rewarded with a spectacular sight: Namcha Barwa emerging from the clouds, its silhouette rising majestically above the horizon like a divine apparition. Here, the boundaries between the material world and the spiritual realm seem to dissolve, leaving visitors in a liminal space where myth and reality intertwine. Along this sacred route, prayer flags flutter in the wind, strung across trails and along the mountain pass, adding color and movement to the landscape. Their vibrant hues, blue representing the sky, white embodying the air, red symbolizing fire, green for water, and yellow for the earth, are lifted and carried by gentle breezes as if offering silent prayers to unseen divine forces. These flags serve as reminders that this is no ordinary place. It is a sacred threshold, a liminal space where the earthly and spiritual worlds converge, inviting reverence and reflection. Beyond the towering peaks and winding passes, just downstream from the canyon's edge, the atmosphere softens into a tranquil serenity during late March and early April. This is the season when the highland fields burst into delicate bloom, transforming the landscape into a canvas of soft pinks and whites against the stark backdrop of snow-capped summits. The blooming peach trees, with their fragile blossoms, create an enchanting contrast to the ruggedness of the surrounding mountains, imparting a sense of gentle renewal and quiet hope. Locally, this fleeting spectacle is cherished and called the Peach Blossom Valley, a name that hints at the transient beauty of the scene. Though the blossoms bloom for only a brief period, their presence inspires a deep sense of reverence among villagers, pilgrims, and travelers who gather here not only to witness the visual splendor but to partake in a moment of spiritual renewal and reflection. The air is crisp and invigorating, the light diffused through a gentle haze, and everything around seems suspended in time. A pause in the relentless march of seasons, as nature itself pauses to honor this ephemeral moment of perfection. High above the valley, Namcha Barwa's silhouette remains a constant, elusive guardian, a spectral presence watching over the land like a divine sentinel. Its towering form, often hidden behind veils of clouds, exerts a silent influence on all who venture into this sacred space. In this part of Tibet, the trail is seldom straightforward or well-marked. Instead, it guides explorers through a landscape woven from myth and reality. Following the delicate trail, this is the vast, arid expanse known as the Third Pole's Desert, a place where nature's raw, unyielding forces have carved a landscape of breathtaking starkness and profound silence. Here, the winds have relentlessly scoured the barren plains, shaping them into vast, windswept stretches of land that seem to stretch endlessly into the horizon. Amid these plains lie shimmering glacial lakes, their icy surfaces reflecting the pale sky above, adding a touch of fragile beauty to an otherwise austere environment. The silence that pervades this desert runs so deep it borders on the spiritual, a quiet so profound that it transcends mere absence of sound, becoming a presence that envelops all who venture into its domain. In this solitude, every horizon appears to stretch outward into infinity, evoking a sense of boundless possibility and eternal mystery. As the landscape narrows and the vast horizon begins to fade from sight, the terrain undergoes a remarkable transformation. The land takes on an almost otherworldly quality, as if stepping into a realm beyond the ordinary. This is the Jada Earth Forest, a surreal labyrinth of jagged, twisted spires of mud stone that have been sculpted over countless centuries by the relentless forces of wind, water, and the slow, unyielding motion of tectonic time. From afar, these towering formations resemble a forgotten city, long abandoned and half swallowed by the stone that now encases it, frozen in time. The largest of these spires reaches heights exceeding 40 meters, their shapes contorted into forms that resemble petrified flames or ancient, burning torches frozen in their descent toward the earth. Local legends whisper that these cliffs were once grand palaces, residences of kings and queens of old, transformed into stone by some divine or mystical power. When the setting sun dips low, casting long shadows across the valley, it's easy to believe that here, in this silent, sculpted wilderness, ancient beings once roamed and ruled. Venturing further into this labyrinth of rock, the boundary between geology and history begins to dissolve. Caves emerge from the cliffs, dark and mysterious, their entrances partly hidden by crumbling staircases that wind upward through the stone, whispering tales of bygone eras. It is within this haunting landscape that one of Tibet's greatest mysteries persists, the ruins of the ancient Guga kingdom. This site, bathed in a cinematic glow, features vivid red rock walls, intricately carved staircases that ascend the mountainside, and cave temples whose murals, despite being over 1,000 years old, retain their vibrant colors and intricate details. These murals depict serene Buddhas, elaborate mandalas, and scenes of devotion that whisper stories of spiritual pursuit and cultural grandeur. Broken statues and prayer niches punctuate the ruins, silent witnesses to a once thriving civilization that now exists only in fragments and faded memories. The precise reasons for Guga's mysterious fall remain shrouded in uncertainty. Some believe it was betrayed and invaded from within, its defenses shattered by internal treachery or conflict. Others hold that the kingdom's spiritual decline led to its inevitable demise, its people perhaps succumbing to despair or disillusionment, allowing the desert to swallow what was once a vibrant center of faith and culture. Today, the ruins stand eerily silent, a city turned to dust and stone, guarded by the relentless march of time. As your gaze traces the eroded contours of ancient walls and forgotten corridors, it's not difficult to imagine the grandeur that once filled this place, an empire built on devotion, now lost to silence and decay. The Guga ruins, framed against the alien beauty of the earth forest, serve as stark reminders of the ephemeral nature of power and civilization. They whisper that even the mightiest kingdoms can vanish, leaving behind only whispers carried by the wind. As the stone walls of Guga fade behind us, the journey presses onward across open plains, where the wind begins to rise and whisper through the empty landscape. Signs of life grow increasingly scarce, the air thins, and the deep silence becomes almost palpable. Yet, in time, subtle hints of life re-emerge, faint traces that beckon us forward, drawn by some unseen force along the path carved into the wood. All signs point in one unifying direction, guiding us toward a monumental presence rising majestically from the plateau, a mountain unlike any other, which begins to take shape in the distance. This is Mount Kailash, standing at 6,638 meters above sea level. While it may not be the tallest peak in the Himalayas, for countless individuals across the spiritual spectrum, it remains the most sacred. To Tibetans, Buddhists, Hindus, Jains, and followers of Bond, Kailash is revered as the very center of the universe, a sacred nexus where the physical world and the spiritual realm converge. Its four imposing faces are aligned with the four cardinal directions, each facing a different point on the compass, symbolizing completeness and harmony. From its slopes flow four mighty rivers, the Indus. For centuries, devout pilgrims have traversed a sacred tradition that involves circumnavigating a revered mountain, a ritual rooted deeply in spiritual devotion and cultural heritage. This ancient practice, known by the names Quora or Zhuan Shan, remains at the very core of religious expression in this region, symbolizing a profound act of faith and purification. The pilgrimage entails a journey covering approximately 52 kilometers around the mountain's base, a path that believers hold to be capable of cleansing the accumulated sins of a lifetime. To undertake this journey not just once, but repeated numerous times, specifically 108 circuits, is considered a profound step towards spiritual enlightenment, embodying a relentless pursuit of inner truth and divine connection. As pilgrims set out along this trail, they find themselves crossing a variety of striking landscapes. The route threads through lofty mountain passes where the air is thin and crisp, along glacier-fed streams that shimmer with icy clarity, and across windswept rocky terrain that seems to echo the harshness of nature itself. Throughout the entire journey, the majestic mountain above keeps an ever-watchful, silent gaze, as if observing and blessing each step taken in its shadow. Along the way, prayer flags, brightly colored pieces of cloth, flutter vigorously in the mountain wind, their tattered edges a testament to the countless storms they have endured. Pilgrims pass by prayer wheels, gently spinning them as they softly chant mantras, their voices blending with the whisper of the wind. Some devote themselves to the most physically demanding form of prayer, full-body prostrations, carefully measured and repeated, each movement a deliberate act of humility and devotion. For these pilgrims, every step becomes less about covering ground and more about deepening their spiritual journey, emphasizing the significance of intent over mere distance traveled. Just to the south of Mount Kailash lies a body of water considered the most sacred lake in all of Asia, Lake Manasarova. This pristine lake, often described as a mirror to the divine, reflects the heavens and the sacred mountain with startling clarity. According to traditional Hindu beliefs, it was the god Brahma himself who first envisioned this lake in his mind before it existed in the physical realm. To immerse oneself in its icy waters is thought to wash away the karma accumulated over countless incarnations, offering a chance for spiritual rebirth and cleansing. For many pilgrims, the spiritual journey does not conclude upon reaching Mount Kailash. After completing their sacred circuit around the mountain, they often embark on a subsequent pilgrimage, one that takes them around the expansive shoreline of Lake Manasarova. This second pilgrimage is less about physical endurance and more about seeking inner stillness, peace that lies beyond the physical realm. During the full moon of Saga Dawa, a time considered especially auspicious, there is a widespread belief that celestial deities descend from the heavens to bathe in the lake's sacred waters, bestowing blessings upon those who come to witness this divine act. Along the lakeshore, prayer flags flutter gently in the breeze, and the wind whispers across the surface of the water, carrying prayers and intentions on invisible currents. In that quiet, sacred space, an intangible presence seems to linger, a sense of something profoundly spiritual and enduring. Across the vast, rugged landscape, the land of Ali exudes a sense of history and myth. It feels as if every stone and mountain tells a story, woven through generations of spiritual pursuit. Yet, just a few miles away in the town of Nachu, those stories seem to fade into silence. Here, the landscape strips away history and narrative, exposing raw elements, exposure to the elements, relentless wind without shelter, biting cold without respite, and endless space stretching beyond the horizon. At over 4,500 meters above sea level, the vast Changtang Plateau appears to strip life down to its essentials, revealing the raw, unadorned truth of existence in this extreme environment. Despite its harshness, life persists in this rugged terrain. Nomadic herders trace ancient seasonal routes, setting up yak wool tents that offer fragile protection against the biting cold. Tibetan antelope flicker across the plains in fleeting moments, their presence a reminder of resilience and adaptability. The beauty of this landscape is undeniable, its starkness both intimidating and captivating, yet, if one remains long enough, that beauty seeps into the soul, becoming a part of one's inner landscape. Even amid the austerity of this land, moments of serenity and luminous calm emerge. The vast quietude holds a quiet majesty, a stillness that can be felt rather than spoken. At the height of over 4,700 meters, Namso Lake glistens like a perfect mirror, perfectly aligned with the sky above. Known as one of the highest saltwater lakes in the world, it is revered in Tibetan tradition as a celestial lake, an earthly reflection of the divine. Its waters are considered sacred, deeply intertwined with the nearby Mount Nyantan Tangla, forming a spiritual and physical connection between the land and the heavens. In the realm where the sacred does not always manifest through grand temples or fervent prayers, there are places where spirituality gently emerges from the very fabric of the land itself. Sometimes, it's the land's silent voice that speaks loudest, revealing a profound sense of reverence beyond human constructs. Deep within the most secluded corners of Bangan County, there stands an extraordinary natural monument known locally as the Tree of Earth, a solitary, striking formation that resembles a colossal tree, yet is nothing more than a natural sculpting of stone and soil. Rising defiantly from the stark, barren ground, this solitary rock formation captures the imagination of all who see it. To some, it symbolizes the spiritual navel of the vast plateau, a sacred point where the earth seems to meet the sky in a quiet, almost imperceptible union. This formation, shaped entirely by the relentless forces of nature over countless centuries, possesses a silhouette that appears almost alive. It's not merely a rock but a living emblem, an enduring symbol of resilience and harmony amid a landscape where life struggles to take root and flourish. For those who sense the land's subtle language, the Tree of Earth embodies more than just geological wonder. It is a silent testament to the enduring balance of nature. According to Tibetan cosmology, this enigmatic monument reflects the harmony of the four fundamental elements: earth, water, fire, and wind, held together in a delicate, natural mandala carved in silence, a sacred design whispered by the wind and shaped by time. To reach the Tree of Earth is to venture beyond signs and shrines. There are no markers, no rituals, only the vast, open sky stretching endlessly above, and a wind-swept plain that seems to hold its breath. Standing before this silent sentinel, one does not feel as if facing a mere monument or relic. Instead, it feels as if the land itself has chosen to speak through this shape, a presence, a quiet voice that resonates deep within one's soul. There's nothing else quite like it, neither in Tibet nor anywhere else in the world, where nature's artistry and spiritual silence converge so profoundly. Northward from this mystical site, the landscape opens onto the vast and almost incomprehensible expanse of the Changtang Plateau, a place known as the no man's land of Tibet. Covering more than 600,000 square kilometers, this vast wilderness is among the largest and most remote natural areas on Earth. Its high altitude, often exceeding 5,000 meters above sea level, makes it an environment of stark extremes. The air is thin, the wind cuts through even the thickest clothing, and temperatures can plummet below 40 degrees Celsius. The weather here is famously capricious. Sunshine can give way suddenly to snow, hail, or a fierce storm, all within the span of a single day. The saying that Tibet experiences 4 seasons in one day is particularly true in this region. where climatic unpredictability has shaped a landscape that seems almost untouched by human hands. Much of the interior of the Changtang remains uninhabited and inaccessible, protected fiercely for its fragile ecology. There are no roads threading through its interior, no villages dotting the landscape, only the endless wind, the expansive sky, and the silent promise of wilderness. Yet, this land is not devoid of life. The hardy animals that roam these plains are not merely surviving, they belong here, woven into the fabric of this extreme environment in a way that humans could never fully understand or inhabit. Their presence is a testament to nature's resilience and adaptability, thriving in a realm where human life cannot easily take root. Moving southward, the landscape begins to soften, revealing a different aspect of Tibet's diverse beauty. Here, the terrain becomes gentler, with expansive river valleys cradling ancient villages and fields of barley rippling in the wind under wide, open skies. This region, known as Shigatsu, has long been celebrated as the granary of Tibet, a vital center of agriculture and settlement in a land otherwise dominated by rugged, high-altitude deserts. Historically, it was once the seat of the powerful Chong dynasty, a formidable rival to the spiritual and political center of Lhasa. With its fortress ruins, monasteries, and remnants of regional dominance, Shigatsu's landscape whispers stories of bygone power and grandeur. Today, the region continues to serve as a spiritual crossroads, a place where pilgrims pause in their journeys, soaking in the sacred atmosphere before pressing onward toward Tibet's most revered sites. At the heart of Shigatsu lies its historic capital, Shigatsu City, a vibrant hub of tradition and spiritual life. Overlooking the city is the Tashil Humpo Monastery, founded in the year 1447 by the first Dalai Lama himself. This monastery, which later became the seat of the Panchen Lama, the second highest spiritual authority in Tibet, stands as a monument to centuries of religious devotion and cultural significance. Pilgrims walking the monastery's sacred circuit, known as the Kora, move in slow, rever from the serene spiritual calmness of Shigatsu. The path gently curves southeast, guiding travelers not over a great distance but into a realm steeped in history and memory. As the journey progresses, one encounters Gyeongsi Zhang, a fortress that rises abruptly above the rugged terrain of the Nyang River Valley. This ancient stronghold stands as one of Tibet's most remarkably preserved hilltop fortresses, its commanding presence a silent witness to centuries of turbulent history. Once a vigilant guardian watching over the vital route connecting Lhasa with the western reaches of Tibet, Gyeongsi Zhang has earned the affectionate nickname of the Little Potala of the West, a tribute to its majestic stature and spiritual significance. Yet, beyond its architectural grandeur, this fortress carries a profound legacy of resilience and resistance. In the year 1904, Gyeongsi Zhang became the epicenter of intense confrontation during a British military expedition, an event etched into its very stones. The defenders, local Tibetans, faced the invading forces armed with little more than traditional swords and aged muskets, standing firm against the might of modern artillery and gunfire. The scars of that confrontation remain visible to this day. Scorched stones and fractured ramparts serve as silent witnesses to the fierce resistance that once unyieldingly held their ground. These remnants of battle, quiet yet powerful, tell a story of courage and defiance that echoes through time. Today, Gyeongsi Zhang remains a tranquil silhouette above the town, its once tumultuous past still etched into its walls, a reminder that even in peace, history's marks endure. Down at the base of the fortress lies the revered Palcho Monastery, a spiritual sanctuary that houses the towering Gyeongsi Kumbum, Tibet's largest stupa. This monumental structure, rising in multiple tiers, 9 in total, and featuring 108 chapels, forms a walking mandala, a sacred map designed to guide pilgrims through layers of spiritual enlightenment. As visitors traverse this intricate labyrinth of devotion, they are immersed in a visual journey through Tibet's sacred symbolism. What makes Palcho Monastery especially extraordinary is its unique spiritual harmony. It unites the three principal schools of Tibetan Buddhism, Gelug, Sakya, and Kagu, within a single sacred space, illustrating a rare unity that transcends doctrinal differences. This harmonious convergence is vividly expressed not only through the beliefs it embodies but also through its architecture and the sacred imagery that adorns every wall, creating a living testament to spiritual coexistence. Among the monastery's most treasured possessions are the Thungka paintings, meticulously crafted sacred scrolls that depict deities, mandalas, and profound spiritual teachings. These paintings are much more than mere art. They serve as living scriptures, visual guides that communicate complex doctrines through imagery. Every figure, every hue, and every gesture within a thungka is imbued with symbolic meaning, providing a visual pathway to enlightenment that transcends linguistic barriers. The creation of a thungka is itself an act of meditation, often requiring months or even years of devotion. Guided by strict ritual procedures, the artists and monks involved engage in deep spiritual focus, frequently reciting mantras as they work. In this way, the process becomes a form of sacred practice, transforming the act of painting into a spiritual journey that echoes the pursuit of enlightenment. Leaving behind the ancient giants, the route continues through expansive valleys, gradually ascending into higher and more remote terrains, each step carrying travelers towards something truly extraordinary. The path ahead is not marked by a single decisive step but begins with a series of 108 hairpin bends etched into the mountainside, like strokes of devotion painted by celestial hands. Known as the Sto-Vosum Bends, this dizzying and winding stretch of road guides pilgrims and adventurers alike toward the sacred site of Galapas, perched at over 5,000 meters above sea level. In Tibetan tradition, the number 108 is sacred, a symbol of spiritual completeness and wholeness. It appears frequently throughout Tibetan culture, from prayer beads to temple steps and intricate mandalas, embodying the universe's cyclical nature and the path towards spiritual fulfillment. Reaching the highest vantage point of this ascent, the horizon unfurls into a breathtaking panorama. A formidable wall of white giants emerges, 5 of the world's tallest peaks, standing shoulder to shoulder in silent grandeur. The road behind unwinds like a shimmering silver thread, a testament to the arduous journey undertaken. Ahead, the mighty Himalayas rise sharply, forming a natural boundary that separates the earthly realm from the boundless sky. At the end of this long and winding road lies the stark, windswept plateau of Lyre's Rongbuk Base Camp, a barren expanse of rock and air, where the mountain reveals its true magnitude. The thin atmosphere here, with oxygen levels nearly half those at sea level, signals to climbers that they have reached a critical point. For most, this marks the furthest they will venture, an ultimate destination of silent awe and reverence. It is a place where the grandeur of nature's power is felt even from this distance, more than 20 kilometers away. The sheer presence of Everest is impossible to ignore. The mountain's towering summit, soaring over 8,800 meters into the sky, commands the horizon with an aura of dominance and majesty that feels almost surreal. Its vast, unyielding form looms constantly in sight, a silent sentinel that seems to watch over everything around it. Despite the miles that separate us, Everest's formidable silhouette remains an unshakable fixture, an eternal reminder of nature's grandeur and power. Just beneath this colossal giant, the humble yet profound monastery known as the Rongbuk stands quietly in the shadow of Everest's might. It acts as a final threshold, a delicate boundary that separates the human realm from something far more transcendent and mysterious. From this vantage point, the reason behind the Tibetan name for Everest becomes crystal clear. They call her Chomolungma, which translates to Mother of the World, a goddess figure, revered as the nurturing mother whose immense presence embodies both awe and protection. To Tibetans, she is not merely a mountain but a divine mother figure, a celestial guardian whose silent watchfulness encompasses all life beneath her gaze. As one begins to descend from the lofty heights and gaze outward, the landscape gradually softens and transforms. The starkness of snow and jagged rock gives way to gentle, rolling fields of green and gold, where life continues with quiet resilience. At over 4,000 meters above sea level, the fertile lands of Tingri stretch out as some of the highest cultivated fields on the planet. Here, hardy crops such as barley and potatoes are grown in scattered patches, each carefully tended amid the challenging environment. Yak herders, with their sturdy wooden plows, continue to till the land just as they have for countless generations, their routines a testament to human perseverance amidst adversity. Despite the harsh conditions, thin air, brief growing seasons, the land endures, sustained by routine, care, and a deep understanding of nature's rhythms. While Everest's colossal form dominates the skyline, life in Tingri flows in a quiet, balanced harmony, rooted in tradition and resilience. Moving further into Tibet's rich tapestry of history and myth, the Shannon region emerges as a cradle of Tibetan civilization, an area where legend and history intertwine seamlessly. In the expansive Yalung Valley, the landscape becomes a living chronicle. Ancient royal tombs stand as silent witnesses to the kingdom's origins, while intricate cliff carvings narrate the rise of Tibet as a sovereign land. These carvings and tombs echo stories of kings and spiritual leaders, serving as enduring symbols of cultural identity and spiritual foundation. Many of Tibet's most significant milestones, be it the dawn of monarchy or the advent of Buddhism, find their roots in this very land, woven into its very fabric. At the heart of this historical landscape stands Yumbula Gang Palace, said to be Tibet's very first building. Erected for Nyatri Tempo, the legendary first king, this humble yet historically monumental structure overlooks what the locals call the first cultivated fields, a sacred meeting point where the earth, the divine, and the royal converge. Over time, the palace was transformed from a royal residence into a spiritual sanctuary by the efforts of revered monks and practitioners, known as Gumpo. Today, Yumbula Gang reflects Tibet's profound transition from an ancient kingship to a devout Buddhist culture. Though modest in size, its legacy looms large, serving as a symbol of Tibet's enduring spiritual and historical identity. Around the same period in the 7th century, Tibet saw the creation of its own unique script, an event of immense cultural significance. Originally devised not for daily conversation but to translate sacred Sanskrit texts, the Tibetan script marked a pivotal moment in shaping Tibetan cultural identity. This new form of writing became an essential tool for preserving and transmitting spiritual teachings, uniting the people under a shared linguistic and religious heritage. Over the centuries, these threads of faith, tradition, and language wove themselves into the very landscape of Tibet, shaping its spiritual and cultural contours. One of the most evocative symbols of this deep spiritual connection is Yam Drak Lake, an expansive mirror that seems to cradle the sky itself. Surrounded by snow-capped peaks and sunlit grasslands, the lake's shimmering surface reflects the heavens, earning it the poetic name of the mirror of the sky, resting upon the earth's chest. From above, the lake's shape resembles a twisting scorpion, a figure imbued with symbolic meaning, representing hidden strength and divine protection. Its form is a natural masterpiece, with a heart-shaped pond sometimes appearing near the center of one of its peninsulas, visible only under the right light and atmospheric conditions. Local legend holds that Yam Drak Lake is the transformed body of a goddess, embodying the sacred feminine power that sustains Tibet itself. The lake's vitality is believed to be directly tied to the land's very survival. If Yam Drak were ever to dry up, the land would become uninhabitable, its life nestled beside what was once believed to be a wellspring of profound spiritual energy. A place of quiet contemplation and sacred communion, stands a remarkable monastery perched high above the rugged landscape. This sanctuary, tucked into the craggy cliffs of Linzhou County, is known far and wide as Xiling Monastery, often affectionately called Tibet's Hanging Monastery. From afar, it appears almost to defy the laws of gravity, a tiny yet resilient structure clinging tenaciously to the face of bare, weathered rock, seemingly suspended in midair, high above the lush valley floor below. Reaching this extraordinary site is an adventure in itself. The journey involves navigating a narrow, winding footpath and ascending steep, carved steps that are directly etched into the rugged cliffside, each step a deliberate act of focus and mindful intention. This pilgrimage transforms the act of reaching the monastery into a quiet meditation, a journey that invites reflection and patience as one moves closer to this tranquil haven. Originally conceived as a retreat for solitary monks seeking solitude and spiritual clarity, Xiling Monastery gradually expanded over time into a modest but significant monastery affiliated with the Nanga tradition. The interiors of the monastery feel more like natural caves than architectural constructs, simple, unadorned spaces designed for meditation, silence, and communion with the divine, far removed from the noise and distractions of the world below. From the narrow ledge upon which it rests, one's gaze is met with sweeping panoramic views, dense forests stretching to the horizon, deep ravines carved by ancient waters, and distant snow-capped peaks that shimmer under the sun. From this elevated perch, the air feels inherently quieter, as if the very atmosphere absorbs the hum of worldly concerns, leaving only serenity and sacred stillness. Locals who live in the surrounding villages believe that prayers offered at Xiling Monastery ascend more easily, carried effortlessly by the mountain wind and infused into the very essence of the mountain itself. They say that here, spiritual energies are more readily transmitted, and that the prayers of pilgrims find a clearer path to the heavens. Further east, the Gandon Monastery stands as a towering testament to Tibetan spiritual heritage. Founded in the year 1409 by the renowned Buddhist scholar and master Tsongkhapa, Gandon has long served as a vital center of Tibetan Buddhism, drawing pilgrims and scholars alike. The approach to Gandon is a journey of its own, with a winding road that ascends through sharp switchbacks along a bare, windswept ridge. The path coils around the mountain like a silken thread, gradually revealing the monastery's majestic golden roofs as a beacon of faith. Perched at an altitude exceeding 4,300 meters, Gandon feels more like a nexus between worlds, where the sky, the mountain, and the spiritual realm converge. At its core rests the revered tomb stupa of Tsongkhapa, shimmering in silver and gold, encircled by devout pilgrims and fluttering prayer flags that dance along the dramatic Gandon Kora, the sacred circuit that winds through the monastery grounds. Though battered and scarred during the tumultuous years of the Cultural Revolution, the monastery was lovingly reconstructed by monks returning from exile, and it still bears the marks of centuries of unwavering devotion. Both Xiling and Gandon monasteries belong to the same sacred region, an area that forms the spiritual and cultural heartland of Tibet. These cliffside sanctuaries are more than mere structures. They are symbols of Tibetan identity, embodying centuries of religious tradition, resilience, and cultural pride. For countless pilgrims, visiting these monasteries is a pilgrimage of a lifetime, a journey undertaken with deep reverence and unwavering faith. At an elevation of 3,650 meters above sea level, Lhasa stands as one of the highest cities on Earth, an enduring cultural and religious hub that has been the spiritual capital of Tibet for over 1,000 years. The very name, Lhasa, means place of the gods, a fitting description for a city that draws pilgrims from across the vast Tibetan plateau and beyond. Many travelers begin their pilgrimage from distant regions such as Chumdo, following the long, arduous route along the famous Highway No. 318. These devout souls often prostrate themselves repeatedly over thousands of kilometers, measuring each step with their bodies in a profound act of devotion, seeking to purify their minds and hearts on the sacred path to this holy city. Within Lhasa, the circumambulation of the Jokhang Temple, known as the Bar Khor Circuit, transforms into a living river of devotion. Pilgrims spin prayer wheels with rhythmic precision, whisper mantras softly, and let the fragrant incense drift through the mountain air, creating an atmosphere thick with spiritual energy. Built in the 7th century, Jokhang is revered as the most sacred temple in Tibet, a spiritual heart that beats in harmony with the entire Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Inside its ancient walls lies the Yovo Shakyamuni, Tibet's most sacred statue, believed to be a divine depiction of the Potala Palace, once the seasonal residence of the Dalai Lama, has long stood as the most prominent symbol of Tibetan spiritual and political authority. For centuries, it served as the central hub where faith and governance intertwined seamlessly, embodying the very essence of Tibetan leadership and devotion. This majestic complex rises majestically amidst the rugged mountains, its imposing presence a testament to the enduring resilience of Tibetan culture and spirituality. Within its storied walls, the Red Palace encloses sacred scriptures, revered relics, and the golden stupas that commemorate the Dalai Lamas of generations past. These treasures are not merely relics of history. They are living symbols of faith, hope, and continuity, carefully preserved and revered by those who come to pay homage. The White Palace, in turn, once functioned as the seat of governance, where spiritual guidance and worldly power converged. It was here that decisions of great consequence were made, blending the divine with the earthly in a harmonious dance that defined Tibetan leadership for centuries. Every step ascending the palace's ancient stairways, every chamber and corridor, bears silent witness to centuries of devotion. These spaces resonate with layers of history, moments of prayer, incense-laden ceremonies, and quiet acts of reverence that have persisted through the ages. The air itself seems imbued with the essence of countless monks, pilgrims, and spiritual seekers who have traversed these halls, seeking enlightenment or offering their devotion. Despite the sweeping changes occurring around the world, the Potala Palace remains steadfast and resolute. It stands as a monument not only to Tibet's rich history but also to the unbreakable strength of its spiritual beliefs. Its silent watch over the city below is a reminder that some traditions endure beyond the passage of time, unshaken by modern upheavals and political shifts. As dawn breaks over the mountains, the palace's silhouette emerges from the morning mist, casting a majestic shadow over the city. It is no longer merely an ancient relic frozen in time but a vibrant symbol of resilience and faith. Perched high above the bustling streets, the Potala stands as a constant reminder that in Tibet, tradition is not simply preserved but continues to thrive, quietly, faithfully, and always reaching upward toward the heavens. In this sacred place, one finds an inspiring testament to the enduring spirit of a culture that refuses to fade into oblivion. It invites all who see it to reflect on the power of faith and the importance of honoring the past while moving forward with hope. So, venture out into the world, explore the extraordinary, and embrace the wonder of timeless traditions. Until our next journey together, may your explorations be filled with discovery and awe.